So welcome again to Calm the F Down. And as I mentioned earlier, it's our last class for the month, or Calm the F Down anyway. Um, so tonight we have a special treat. The last part of the class will be a sound bath by teacher Arianne. For those of you who've never experienced a sound bath before, you're in for a real treat, I think. If sound is very powerful, it can be very healing. Um, and I hope that you guys all enjoyed it. So, just so you have a little bit of understanding of what's going to happen tonight, we're going to dive right into asana today, into our yin yoga practice. And then from there, we're going to get into a balancing pranayama, which is called Nadi Shodhana. And I'm going to explain it later on when we get to it. And we'll practice that short for a while. Not too long, just maybe 2 rounds of Nadi Shodhana. And then from there, I'll ease you into your Savasana so that you can enjoy your sound bath, which is about 15 minutes. And then after the sound bath, well, I'll let you soak it in for a little bit, enjoy your rest. And then I'll gently guide you out of it so that then we can get into the last part of the class, which is really just a quick group photo as well as the drawing of the prizes. So we have 4 prize winners this evening. I already announced it in the post, but later on, as we draw the winners, I'll also be announcing again what each person will be winning. So hopefully that sounds good for everyone. I will try to end on time, if at all, just a few minutes off. Hopefully that's okay. And without further ado, with no questions or anything, then we're going to get started into our practice. So if you have any questions or anything else you want to let me know, just feel free to unmute yourself or put it in the chat, so that as everyone else starts to settle onto their mats, I can see whatever comments you have written down. So for those who are ready to begin, then just find your way into any comfortable seated position on your mat. If you'd like to support your hips with a cushion or a block, feel free to do so. Your seat can be cross-legged style, lotus, half lotus, even seiza or Japanese seated position. So whatever feels good for you today. We'll see if you can really find the connection with the ground, with the earth. Noticing the part of your body that's touching your mat or the floor. And I know that I said we will dive right into the asana part, but of course, just a little bit of grounding to begin before we get into the actual asana. Because I want to touch on tonight's topic or theme, which is connection. And sometimes, especially with this pandemic, we may feel that we're so disconnected, whether from other people or even disconnected from ourselves or from the universe, the globe, the world. And a good start to establish that connection again, to reconnect, is first reconnecting with the earth. And that is why I encourage you right now to really notice your body as it rests onto the ground, really noticing your connection with it. Noticing your weight against the floor or the mat. Maybe shifting the weight side to side, slightly here, so you can really feel your sit bones pressing onto the mat. Find stillness, silence. And again, finding that connection with the ground. Okay, so we're going to now get into our yin part of the practice without further ado. And again, a reminder, if you need your props, just have them handy close by so that you can easily access it whenever needed. And because we're trying to find and establish that connection again, first with the earth, and then eventually finding that connection with ourselves and with others, we're going to start with toe stand. So make your way into Seiza, legs together, feet together, sitting the hips back onto the heels. And that's where we'll begin. So toe stand, hands down onto the ground in front of you, lift the hips up, and then tuck the toes under. And then maybe even reaching your hands back so you can really make sure all 10 toes are tucked under, including the pinky toes. And then start to sit the hips back onto the heels, resting your hands onto your thighs, and try to sit up tall, shoulders stacked on top of the hips. And if this is a little too intense for you because you're putting all your weight here onto the heels, you can decrease the intensity by leaning forward slightly and then supporting your hands with whatever props you have. So you're shifting some of your weight forward, so not all of your weight will be back on the heels. So feel free to experiment as we stay here, and we're not staying in toe stand for long, maybe just a minute. So feel free to play around with how much weight you want to put back onto the heels. Maybe just a little bit or a lot. And as you do so, you're going to notice maybe sensations here along the soles of the feet, getting into the fascia there on your feet. You can even close your eyes here if you'd like to really get into the sensations. Noticing with compassion, without judgment, everything that you may be experiencing. And if you'd like, you can activate your resonance breath anytime throughout the practice. Inhaling for 4 counts and exhaling for 6 counts. And then from your toe stand, shift your weight forward, untuck the toes. And if you'd like, you can come into tabletop and then tap the feet a couple of times just to release. And then from here, we're going to come into our next pose, which is ankle stretch. So bring the legs and feet together and then sit the hips back onto the heels. So we're coming back into our thunderbolt or Japanese seated position. And maybe for some of you, this is already as far as you'd like to go. If you're feeling it quite intensely already here along the ankles, the front of your feet. But maybe some of you want to explore getting into it a little more, finding a bit more intensity in the sensation. And if you'd like, then maybe placing the hands down a few inches behind your hips, and then lifting the knees gently up off the floor. And it's up to you how high your knees go. So of course, the higher up the knees go, the more intense the ankle stretch will be. So it's up to you how high you want the knees to go up. Or maybe just coming back into your seiza, and already you'll be even stretching the ankles. Again, maybe activating your 4-6 resonance breath, if that feels good for you. Inhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhaling for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just doing the same rhythm over and over again. 4 counts on the inhale and 6 counts on the exhale. Another option here is to wedge props underneath the knees so that you feel a little bit more supported. Don't put a lot of effort in lifting the knees up. Just a few more breaths here, 2 more. And then if you have props underneath the knees, setting them aside. And then lowering the knees back onto the ground. Coming back into your tabletop and just doing a couple of those foot taps just to reset again. And then from here, coming into our malasana or squat. So maybe tucking the toes under so that you can bring the hands back. Start to lift the knees up so that you can flatten the feet down to the floor. And then separate your feet mat width apart and the toes pointing outward slightly. So the knees and toes are tracking in the same direction, slightly outward. And maybe for some of you, it might feel better to rest your hips down onto props, whether it's a block or a bolster or something else. So you can really feel the spine lengthen, the tailbone point down to the mat. Press your elbows against the insides of your thighs or knees, and your hands at your chest in prayer. And if you want, you can also close your eyes here if that feels good. Just notice whatever sensations are there. Another thing to note, if you notice that your heels are lifting up, so you're kind of in a tiptoe, you can place something underneath the heels, maybe wedging additional props that you have. Or you can also roll up your mat a couple of times and place the rolled up part underneath your heels. So that it feels a bit more restful even if you have your heels slightly lifted. So our squat position will be a little longer versus our toe squat or thunderbolt. Staying here for a total of 3 minutes. And maybe as we stay here in our Savasana, again, noticing our connection with the ground, noticing the feet pressing down to the mat, noticing how the hips lengthen down towards the ground. I'll give you a little bit of time here in silence. Just noticing whatever sensations are there in the body. And again, inviting you, if it feels good to do so, to activate your resonance breath if you lost it as we shifted positions. Inhaling for 4, exhaling for 6. Just a few more rounds of breath here. For the last 2 to 3 rounds of breath, if you'd like, you can even sway side to side slightly here, shifting your weight left to right. Noticing how that feels in the body. Maybe certain sides feel tighter than the other. Just noticing and observing whatever comes up. Or if you prefer to just stay still in your malasana, then just stay still. Holding for the last 5 counts. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then lower the hips down to the floor. And maybe extend the legs. And if you'd like, you can shake it out. Maybe do a couple of windshield wipers. And then we're going to make our way onto our stomach. So we're going to lie down on our belly. Coming into Sphinx pose. So Sphinx pose, lower body heavy onto the ground, toes pointing back. Elbows maybe stacked under the shoulders if possible. Forearms parallel with each other, palms facing down. If this is a bit too intense, especially in the lower back, you can release it slightly by sliding the elbows a little forward. So the elbows are slightly ahead of the shoulders. Your choice. And then make sure that your shoulders aren't hiking up towards the ears here. So see if you can actively push the shoulders down away from the ears. And then imagine that you're trying to move the chest forward between the arms. So there's this slight activation in the upper back between the shoulder blades. And a couple of options here as we stay in Sphinx. If you have a blanket, you can add a bit of support here underneath your diaphragm by rolling up that blanket and wedging it there. So it's like right between your elbows and your stomach. And maybe that feels a little supportive, a little bit more supportive for you. You can gaze forward or maybe allow the neck to relax. Your gaze down at the mat between your arms, your forearms. And if you'd like, you can support your forehead with the block or whatever prop there is, wherever you are. Just noticing that connection of your lower body with the ground. Your hips all the way to the toes. Feeling the lower body heavy. But at the same time, being cradled by your mat, by the ground underneath you. And then also maybe noticing the connection that your arms have with the earth, from your elbows to your fingers, your palms. For the last minute, lifting the head up, if you had it resting on a forehead. And we're going to do something to help stimulate our vagus nerve. So getting us even calmer and more relaxed. From your Sphinx, you're going to turn your head to the left. Just stay here for a few seconds. And then turn the head back to center. And then turn your head to the right. going to focus your gaze on as you keep looking over to your right. And then turning the gaze forward again, one breath here in the center. And then start to release any props you may have underneath you. Rest your forehead onto your hands, just to reset. And then making our way into child's pose from here. So maybe pushing yourself up first into a tabletop position. And then from your tabletop, bring the big toes together, separate the knees as wide as your mat. And then start to walk the hands back so that you can bring your hips back to the heels. And now, if you have bolsters or blocks, you can support yourself with it. So say, for example, you have a bolster like this. You can place it between your legs and just allow your torso to be cradled by this bolster. Maybe gazing to one side first and then later on switching sides halfway. I will let you know when it's halfway there. Just reach your arms forward, maybe even allowing the palms to face up so you're giving your wrists a break. If you don't have a bolster, maybe you have blocks instead. Similar thing. Just place it here in front of you so that it can support your chest and maybe the forehead. Reach the arms forward. Maybe the palms facing up to give your wrists a break. Noticing any sensations that may be present here in the body. Just breathing through whatever discomfort there may be, especially those tight spaces. Maybe reconnecting with your 4-6 resonance breath, inhaling for 4, exhaling for 6. If at any point you notice that this doesn't feel too comfortable for you, maybe finding a couple of other options. If you feel the knees aren't too happy here, you can roll up a towel or a blanket and wedge it behind your knees so that you can decrease the amount of flexion in the knee joint as you stay in child's pose. Or you can also support your hips with a block underneath instead, rather than sitting the hips all the way back to the heels. Stay here for just a little bit longer, 2 more deep breaths. Lift yourself up off of your bolsters or blocks, setting them aside. And then we're going to make our way down onto our backs. So down to our last 2 poses. First our Recline Butterfly and then Bananasana. So Recline Butterfly. If you'd like to support your back, you can do so maybe placing a pillow or bolster here behind you. Bringing the soles of the feet together, knees out to the sides. You can support your knees with props that you have there. Especially if your knees are pretty high off the ground, and so that you can really allow the knees to fall open and the legs, the thighs to relax. And just slowly allow your back to be cradled by your pillow or bolster here. Maybe your hands on top of your chest and belly, or maybe by your sides, palms facing up, or maybe even reaching up overhead. Your choice. And maybe coming back into that 4-6 resonance breath again, reconnecting with the breath. Allowing the body to slowly start to let go as we stay in this pose. Releasing whatever tension you may be holding in the hips, in the thighs, in the shoulders, at the jaw, around the face. One last deep breath. And supporting your knees with your hands, lifting the knees up, feet flat on the ground. And then rolling over to one side, setting any props aside, coming into a fetal position first. And then setting aside whatever props you may have there so that you can slowly make your way down onto a lying position on your back. Once you're on your back, take a breath here, just feeling the body as it lies down here. Feeling the connection from the back of the head all the way down to the heels. Then making our way into that Bananasana. From here, bring the feet together first. Then reach your arms overhead. And then slowly start to walk both feet over to the left corner of your mat. And then once you've found the maximum where your feet can go, slowly start to walk your hands, your arms to the left corner of your mat as well. So imagine that if I'm standing over you and I'm looking down at you, your body is forming a C-shaped curve. And so you'll be feeling the stretch along the right side of your body. And make sure that the right hip and the right shoulder stays pressed down to the mat. You can stay here. Maybe the left hand holding on to the right wrist. Maybe the right ankle crossing on top of the left ankle. Stay here for a couple of minutes. Just really getting into that side stretch. But at the same time, feeling the entire body still pressing down to the floor. Everything stays glued to the mat. Except maybe that right ankle, if you opted to cross it on top of your left. reconnecting with the breath. Maybe if you lost your 4-6 resonance breath and you want to come back to it, maybe coming back to it now. Taking an inhale for 4 counts and an exhale for 6 counts. And then slowly walk the feet back to center. Walk the arms back to center. Quick reset here for 2 breaths. And then we're going to do the second side. So just walking the feet over to the right corner of your mat. Maybe already starting to feel a stretch there on the lower body, along the outer side of your left leg and left hip. And now start to walk your arms over towards the right corner of your mat as well. So finding that little C-shaped curve once more. Maybe the right hand holding on to the left wrist to help reach that left arm over to the side. Maybe the left ankle stacking on top of the right ankle, or maybe not. So placing the left ankle on top of the right will intensify the sensation a bit more, most likely. Just notice how it feels and adjust accordingly, depending on how intense you want the sensation to be today, or up to what your body can tolerate for today. And breathing into the left side of the body. And again, if you lost your resonance breath, if you'd like to come back to it, breathing in for 4, exhaling for 6. Making sure the entire body is still resting onto the mat, especially the left shoulder and left hip. Just a little bit more to go. Slowly start to walk the arms back to center. Start to walk the feet back to center. Taking maybe 1 to 2 rounds of breath here just to reset at the center. And then stepping your feet down to the mat, knees bent. Then slowly roll onto one side into a fetal position. And then slowly make your way up into any comfortable seat on your mat. And so from here, we're going to come into our pranayama practice, Nadi Shodhana, before you get into your sound bath and well-deserved rest. So Nadi Shodhana, if you're not familiar with it, is alternate nostril breathing, and it's a balancing pranayama, balancing the left and right hemispheres of the brain, balancing the body. And so there's 2 mudras. There's 2 ways you can do it with the right hand. So see what feels comfortable for you. First option, curl the pointer and middle finger in towards the base of the thumb. And you're going to gently place your thumb against your right nostril and your ring finger gently against your left nostril. I personally don't like this. It doesn't feel comfortable for me, as you can see from my pinky and pointer finger. So I prefer placing my pointer and middle finger here where my third eye is, so roughly between the eyebrows, and the thumb against the right nostril, the ring finger against the left nostril. So alternate nostril breathing. At a time, we're going to be blocking one side, breathing in or out through the opposite side, and then switching sides. So I'm going to do one round just to demonstrate, and then we'll do it all together. So I'm going to first block my right nostril very gently with my right thumb. Exhale through my left nostril, and then inhale through my left, and then block my left with the right ring finger. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right, and then close my right nostril with the thumb. Exhale through the left. And so that's one round. And so for those who'd like to already join in, find your option for the right hand. For the left hand, you can do this mudra with the pointer and thumb gently together, like an okay sign kind of, and then just gently rest your left hand on top of your left knee, the palm facing up. So Dhyana Mudra. Okay, so we're going to do 2 rounds. First round, 10 cycles. Gently close the right, exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close the right, exhale through the left. That's one round. Inhale through the left. Close the left, open right, exhale right. Inhale right. Close the right, exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close the left, open right, exhale through the right. Inhale right. Exhale left. Inhale left. Exhale 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 right. Inhale right. Exhale left. Last round, inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Exhale left. And release. Taking a few deep breaths here. Noticing any sensations perhaps there in the body or thoughts or emotions. Observing with loving attention, with compassion. And we'll just do one more round here. Right hand back. Closing the right nostril. Inhaling through exhaling first through the left. And then inhaling through the left. Exhaling right. Inhale right. Exhale left. Inhale left. Exhale 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 right. Inhale right. Exhale left. Last round, inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Exhale left. And slowly release. Stay here, just taking a few deep breaths. And then slowly start to make your way onto your backs, finding your Shavasana. Maybe the legs are extended, feet on opposite corners of the mat. Some of you may find it restful to prop your knees with a bolster or rolled up blanket, knees slightly bent that way. Or you can also take a couple of moments here to find a different shape that feels good for the body. Doesn't have to be the traditional Shavasana stance. Maybe you can come into constructive rest instead, especially if you don't feel supported in the low back in the classic Shavasana stance. So really, it's up to you. And we're going to get into our sound bath shortly. Just setting up the sound. So just allow your body to melt down towards the floor. Noticing the weight of your body pressing down to the mat. Feeling your body be cradled by the ground underneath. Slowly making your way back to awareness. Starting to move the fingers and the toes. Bringing your attention back to your body. Noticing sensations. Maybe starting to make bigger movements now. Adding in the wrists, the ankles, the head. Maybe reaching the arms overhead, giving yourself a nice big stretch here. And whenever you're ready, making your way slowly into a fetal position first. And it can be on your left side or your right side. And staying there maybe for a round of breath or 2 or 3. And then whenever you're ready, slowly making your way back into a comfortable seated position. And maybe bringing the palms together and then rubbing the hands together, creating heat. Rubbing it until you find and feel that heat between the palms. And once you've generated enough heat here, gently placing your palms over the eyes. Feeling that warmth. Allowing it to bring you even further into yourself. And now maybe slowly starting to open the eyes from behind the palms. Starting to get used to a little bit of light here, peeking through the cracks between and outside the hands. And slowly maybe now starting to lower the hands down onto your knees. And maybe taking a moment here to once again root down to the earth, feel that connection once more. And then now also maybe starting to feel more connection with the people around you, with the people here with us on Zoom. And maybe also feeling that connection with yourself through the movement, mindful movement that we did, through the pranayama, maybe even through the sound bath as well. Maybe as also taking a quick second here to thank yourself for being here and showing up on your mat tonight. And thank you as well for allowing me to guide you today. The light in me honors the light in each and every one of you.